Hello, this is my VS Code on my local laptop. Normally, I develop my program here. Like this file is this is my terminal. I can run my command here and see my program in the editor window here. Recently, I have uh, to develop a program which read huge amount of data from S3, process it, and send it back. I just can't stand for the time it's spent downloading and uploading across the globe. The best way to do this is actually using this feature of VS Code, which is called remote. Basically, you from your laptop, you go through a SSH tunnel and you log on remotely to a AWS computing environment. It can be EC2 instance, it can be a container, doesn't matter, but you SSH to that computing environment, and your code is reside on that computing environment. This VS Code is just a GUI for that process. Everything happens on that remote server. So today I'm going to show you how I made it happen free of charge. The process actually has been documented in my blog, and you can find it from AWS and free, almost AWS EC2 instance. You can follow it here, but I'm just going to using my editor to do this because this is just this code is the website. It's the same thing. Okay, let's start. First of all, AWS has this offer. Let me go to there. So it's a free to try EC2 instance until the end of 2023. It has to be T4G. It has to be T4G. Yeah, that's earlier end date, and they extended to end of 2023. Then anyway, it has to be T4G small. It has to be ARM and T4G small based on their Graviton 2 CPU. So we're going to create EC2 instance for that for free. Okay, so first of all, we need to find a AMI which can be used for this as this T4G instance. So the way to find that is to run a describe image command and go through this filter. The filter basically need to be Debian 11, this pattern. You don't have to do this because I do this because my development environment is always Debian. So it's easier for me to, it's my environment. You don't have to go through this. It can be other Linux environment. And virtualization type has to be HVM, and architecture has to be ARM64. And then I pick up only the image ID, all of them, and I sort it by creation date pick up the last one. And all this AMI name will be assigned to this variable. Let me run this. Then I'll describe that image, make sure it's correct one. This ARM64, that's pretty late. That's the AMI ID. And there's GP2, 8 gigabyte. Yeah, basically that's what I want. The next step is to install some program into that instance. For me, because I want to use it as a development environment, I will install something there. The first thing is SSM agent, which is used to so you can use SSM session manager to log in to that instance. It's better than SSH because you don't have to expose any port. SSH you have to. This way you don't have to. And I always need AWS CLI, so I install it there, and some of the Python stuff. So let me create this file. And then this file will be used when we create the instance. Not now, not yet. The next step is to fulfill the requirement of the SSM session manager, is to give this EC2 instance a profile which has a certain policy, role and policy. That's what we do here. So first of all, we create a role and we name it, and the role policy document is this this service. You can assume this service can assume this role. I'm going to run it, but I think I already create one, so yeah, role already exists. Doesn't matter. So the next step is to this role. This role so far only has one feature. It can be assumed by EC2 instance. It need to have some policy, which is this AWS managed policy. So the next command is to attach this policy to this role. Let me make it more easier to read. So let me run it. Done. And the next command is to create a profile with this name. Yeah, this also has been created before, so doesn't matter. And the next command is to attach this role to this profile, so it can be assigned to that EC2 instance. So you see this instance profile name and the role name. Let's just attach these two things together. Let me do that. Cannot exist code for instance session per instance profile. So it has already been done. Okay, so the next set of tasks is to find a subnet and VPC to hold this EC2 instance. Let's first see how many VPCs we have here. Okay, so I found that there is only one VPC. Then I assign that VPC to a variable called VPC, and that's the VPC ID. Then I list all the subnet ID. There are 6 subnets. And then I try to find among those 6 subnet, I try to find the private subnet, which shown nothing, 0. So there is no private subnet. All of them are public subnet. The best practice is put it into private subnet, but it's not big deal because we're not going to open any ports. So public subnet is okay too. So, and then I just choose the first subnet, assign the subnet to a variable called SN, and confirm that, which is this subnet. And then the next step is actually try to start the EC2 instance. I use the run instance command, give the AMI ID, start one, and most importantly, that's the instance type, free of charge. And then I just give a tag to help me to remember what it is for in future if I happen to forget, delete it in the end of this video. And then I assign this to the profile I created earlier, and I use the SSH key, which is my key, which is in my local environment. You will see it later. And give the subnet here and the user data file, which I created earlier. Then this instance is created. And then I assign that instance ID to a variable called instance ID. And then I use the session manager command start session, try to remote into it, and it's a success. So you see this host name, that's the remote instance host name, and it has internet connection. So what I did next is, then I try to connect to the S3 bucket, which I got a access denied. That's because when I log into it, I get a EC2 role. That's the role I created earlier, which doesn't have access to any S3 bucket. It has SSM policy. That's it. That's why it doesn't have permission. Okay, and then I exit. The next thing I already have this installed. Let's go to the next step, which is get the command palette, Control Shift P, and SSH, connect to host, and found the one we just added. It didn't show up. Let's configure it. The file. I put it at the end. I think I put it in the wrong file. Okay, let's do that. Let's get the Let's get the format here. Save it. Do it again. Connect to host. Oh, this time it show up. Okay, so choose it. It will bring up another VS Code window. Select the platform of this host, which is Linux. Now it's connecting to the remote host. Let me minimize this one. Okay, and that's confirmation of the key. And you see it's remote SSH remote into this host. So if I open a terminal, open another terminal, you see this IP address, that's remote. And if I try to open file, open folder, you see that's the remote servers folder. Okay, so I have cloned my repository here. As you can see, I have a folder here. If I open folder, now this folder show up. Click it, OK. Now I am using my remote connection to do my development work. I have a terminal remotely. I have all the file remotely, the editor remotely. You see the connection here is connecting to SSH to this instance. The only thing in my GUI local laptop right now is the GUI part. So mission accomplished. Now, don't forget the last step. Let's do cleanup. So back to my local. Oh, that's not my local. Yeah, back to my local environment. I need to clean up. So AWS EC2 terminate instances. So we need these instance IDs. We have the variable here, instance ID. It's shutting down right now. So if we bring back the remote instance, remote connection, I stop refreshing right now to see it's been shutting down.